All right, so today we're going to talk about checking your valve clearance the proper and correct way. So let's start out by looking inside the engine. I got circled right there your cam and your lifters from the inside of the engine. All right, you notice how small the lobe is on the cam? It's what, maybe 20% of the cam? The rest of it's flat space. All right, so take that piece of information, tuck it away for future use. Now, before you can properly check your valve clearance, you have to take out the lifters and bleed the oil out of them, a process called, bleeding the lifters. The easiest way I've found to do this is just pull it out with a magnet. There's one piece. Sometimes it comes apart. Sometimes it'll all come out in the same piece. Now, all lifters, whether it be a Lycoming wide deck, narrow deck, or a Continental, consists of 3 pieces. And on a Continental, if you count the Jesus clip, that's 4 pieces. We call it the Jesus clip because the first couple times you try to take it apart, it's going to go flying off in a direction. You're going to go, Jesus, where did it go? Now here we have everything laid out, exhaust side, intake side, and it does matter which side is exhaust and which side is intake. Now with the oil removed from the lifter, with the lifter bled all the way down, I can easily compress it with my fingers. All right, so this Continental engine, I'm going to snatch the lifters out of it, or one of the lifters out of it, just for the purpose. What I like to do is just reach in and sort of push it out with my finger, and there it is, and I can grab it. Continental decided to go with their camshaft on the bottom of the engine. You'd think that would make it less prone to wear since it's down closer to the splash oil and getting much more oil on it. But I find it not to be the case. It's just as prone to wear as Lycoming's camshaft is. All right, so let's bleed down this Continental lifter. First of all, you got to get the Jesus clip out of there, so named because it's under tension. It's a spring clip, and when you pop it out of there, it's liable to go flying, and you go, Jesus, where did it go? As you can tell, the Continental lifters are a much different design, much bigger than what a Lycoming engine is, and this lends itself to the much greater acceptable gap clearance of a bled down lifter on a Continental engine than you're going to have on a Lycoming engine. Now, it is possible to put this thing back together with pieces turned backwards. So pay attention while you're pulling this apart and bleeding it down, how everything comes apart, so you make sure to get it back together. Everything turned correctly, everything in the right hole, the clip in the correct position. Because if you get this thing back in incorrectly, and put it back in the engine incorrectly, I don't know what's going to happen, but it can't be good. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to clean up the lifter like I normally would. Normally, once I get it apart, I would take it over to the parts washer, clean all the parts, get all the old oil out of it, and then reassemble it with a nice sheen of Lubriplate between everything to get it all nice and lubed up. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to snatch it apart and put it right back together. And that's it, one Continental lifter. Now this is a Continental engine, but the process for the Lycomings is the exact same. See how I can easily with one finger compress the lifter and get the clearance between the valve and the rocker? All right, before I get to the meat and potatoes of the valve clearance, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Really use all the help I could get. Share it with anyone who's building an airboat or working on these aircraft engines. You might want to know how to check these valve clearances the correct way. All right, thanks. All right, so now let's check our valve clearance. All right, so you take your little gape gauge, you slide it in between your valve and your rocker arm right there. Continentals are 0.06 to 0.2, so you got a pretty big range there. And then your gape for your Lycomings is 0.028 to 0.08, so much smaller clearance. And that's due to the different designs in the lifters. If you get a Continental lifter out and compare it to a Lycoming lifter, it's much, much different. All right, so let's take a second to talk about the why and the how, okay? If you know the why, then you can deviate from the how when appropriate. All right, so some people say, bring your engine to check your valve clearance, bring the cylinder up to top dead center on compression stroke. Why? Well, obviously, if you're on compression stroke and it's top dead center, both the valves are going to be off of the cam lobes. Now, I've already said the cam lobe is only about 20% of the cam. The rest of it's flat spot. So there's 80% of the cam that's not going to be on the cam lobe. So if you're only checking one valve on one cylinder, rather than cranking the whole engine all the way through its cycle to try to find compression stroke, you can just get it off the cam, get it off the lobe, and you're fine. You don't have to get it all the way up on top dead center. So if you know the why, then you can deviate from the how to accomplish what you want to try to accomplish. All right. So I hope this video helps. Make sure you like and subscribe. Catch me out there on the lake. I am Michael Bowen. This is Florida Man Rides. We'll see you out there.